Season 2 has been so much fun to record, and we have a best-selling author joining us for this episode, streaming in from Canada. My name is Vincent A. Lancy, and this is Writing with Authors. Each week on this show, I will interview writers from around the world in all forms to help you on your writing endeavors. And this week, we have Finka Jerkovic joining us. She is an author, international speaker, workshop leader, and coach who believes when you bring your authentic leadership and a mission-based mindset to business, you can achieve inner fulfillment, other success, and leave a transformational impact. Her book, we'll learn all about it today. It's the best-selling book, Sell from Love, Love Yourself, Love Your Client, Love Your Offer. It was released last year in 2020 and hit Amazon's #1 bestseller list. And it was also listed as a hot new release. Some things the book will teach you: how to use your unique gifts, talents, and expertise to build a business you love, navigate confidently through selling fears, attracting clients magnetically, and close sales naturally and find more purpose and meaning in your work. Allow me to now introduce Finka. Thank you so much for coming on the show.
Thank you, Vincent, so much for having me. I'm super excited for our conversation.
Me too. I think we're going to have a good one ahead. Would you mind introducing yourself to our listeners and previewing a bit of your story before we talk about your latest book?
Wonderful. My name is, as you said, Finka Jerkovic, and I am a coach. I'm an author. I'm a speaker, and I'm a workshop leader. I help business owners and sales professionals figure out who they are, what their talents and gifts and skills are, and how do they use that to, sell more confidently, promote with ease, and grow their businesses, not from fear, but from love.
I love it. And that's what led you to writing this book, I'm sure. Let's now hear all about this best-selling book that you put out last year during a crucial time, 2020.
Yeah, absolutely. So I guess maybe we'll talk a little bit about going through publishing a book in 2020. But
Yes, that would be great too. Yeah.
so we'll talk a little. So Sell from Love, the premise behind Sell from Love, it's really to help those individuals who are looking to, sell your personal brand, your expertise, your thought leadership, and your ideas, but you fall in the land of fear. Fear of, are you doing it right? Can you do it? Fear of when you put yourself out there, are people going to say yes? Are people going to um, hire you? And the uncertainties and the doubts that prevail when we're putting ourselves into these uncertain environments. And so what Sell from Love promised to deliver is giving you a 3-path framework. When you love yourself, meaning you love who you are, you love your strengths, you love all these wonderful gifts that you bring to the table, and you're kind to yourself in the process. When you love your client, meaning we put our customer and our client at the forefront of everything that we do. We don't get mired in the processes and the systems, that the back end stuff that get in the way, and we kind of like lose sight of the customer and who and why we're here to serve. And then finally, it's about loving your offer. It's about loving that thing you're selling. It's really about being able to confidently believe that what you are selling is going to deliver a transformation to your clients and the promise that you're looking to deliver.
Very well said. We want to leave an impact with our client, an impact with our customer in this transformational experience. They'll remember that. There's a good chance if you leave such a good note, they'll come back for repeat business. So I would like to backtrack. You mentioned publishing a book during COVID. I'm sure there were some challenges. I would love to compare both of our experiences, if you don't mind.
Absolutely. I think part of the challenge is, one of the gifts of it was that everything just quieted it down. So there was more time to focus on the body of work that I was creating. And so I had the intent of, publishing it in 2020. And I think what also was happening, I didn't, I was also debating, should I wait? Should I wait till 2021 once things open up and I can have, that official launch party and do the official launch campaign of what I really wanted to do when the book came out. And so, first on that first piece, I'll say it was a gift because it got me super focused, get this book done, get it ready, get it published, and get it out in the world. When it came to when was the right time, I could have waited. There was this part of me that wanted, and at the same time, I kind of listened in and I said, is waiting to publish, is that being motivated more from fear? Because when you're putting out a body of work like a book, your thoughts, your ideas are in here. It's going to be up for judgment and for criticism. And so what I started noticing for myself is the waiting game was more from a, buying time, maybe making it more right, more perfect, and it's just like, no, it is good. It is done. Let's get it out in the world. And I will get it in the right hands, and we'll figure out how to do it with COVID, living the COVID life in the meantime.
I really wanted to do a book launch too. It was something that's very meaningful because you're able to bring people that are close in your life together. But I think it was an excuse too, some fear. Why wouldn't I put it out? Because now this book, it's been out in the world now for that much longer. It's had the time to have people see it 1,000 times. Like anything else in life, sometimes we need to see the image over and over and over again before we push forward. And of course, the criticism is there with the books. My first book, Left for Dead, one of the reviews on Amazon is that how bad I needed an editor. But my editor was graduated from an Ivy League school. That's his job, editor. So I know I networked. I found the right person. He did a phenomenal job. Shout out to Ray, unbelievable. And you have to really just take it with a grain of salt. Not everybody's going to like your work, and you have to accept that. And I think if you do good work, more people will like it than not. So don't worry about that little bit.
Absolutely. And one of the lessons I've learned in this experience of getting your ideas out on paper or out like this, even in a video and doing an interview like this, what people say about our work actually says more about who they are versus who we are. And so I think, yeah, there's always this mode of, can we improve? Can we get better? Can we get feedback? Absolutely. But still realizing that that feedback, that criticism, that commentary or that rating came from someone else's perspective and says more about who they are versus who you are. And so I think I love what you just did, because if we personalize that feedback, it stops us from doing our work. If I make what that comment or what that rating says something about who I am or my value or my worth, guess what? I stop doing my work. And so I think we need to make sure that that's like, oh, that's your stuff. That's who you are. That's great. But this is who I am. And this is, yeah, I could probably do things better. I could learn in the process, but we keep going and keep moving forward.
A lot of learning lessons involved in each process, especially writing a book. And you have to remember that person who may leave you that bad review, it might not be your target audience. It might be someone reading the book who isn't your just designated customer. If you're writing a book for business and someone who's not really involved in business reads it, they may not resonate with the way you intend. But
Absolutely. Can I just also point out, like,
yes,
I wrote a
please,
book
please.
called Sell from Love, and it's a business book. Like, it is about selling and marketing. This book people are gonna love it, but the right people are gonna love it. And then the
Mhm.
people are gonna be looking at this like, love, that's soft and squishy. There is no need for love in business. And this book is not for them. And really just coming to terms with the fact that we are writing for someone, for a specific someone, and that someone might have a couple of, there's a couple of versions of them. But that, I'm going to say, one, helped me write the book, because I think often, I know when I came in my writing journey, what was holding me back was I'd start writing and I was writing to this person and then that person. And then I was writing to everyone. And all of a sudden, 40, 50,000 words later, I still don't have a book, because it wasn't for a someone. And it's so important that we have someone in mind as we're writing. And that notion of, this is who it's for and this is who it's not for, and really being clear. And I think at one point we got to just come to terms and be okay with that. And when we are okay with it, all of a sudden the words start flowing.
As a man, I obviously don't have a child, but this book is like my baby, my child. You never want to release it. Eventually, you realize you can constantly change this book as much as you want. So you eventually have to just call it quits, put it out in the world. But you gave some great advice right there. I'd now like to ask you for 2 pieces of advice for our community of writers, some ways you can help them out.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to say, when it comes to writing, the first is really deciding on what you're going to write. So I could have, when I went on my writing journey, I could have written about selling. I could have written about mindset. I could have written about mindfulness, meditation. I live on a farm. We have a farm lifestyle. And so I could have written about a whole bunch of things. And what I realized yes, I am a writer, but I can't write about all these things at the same time.
Yes.
And so it's choosing the topic you're going to write about, and really looking at, how is this topic going to either help someone solve a problem or help them achieve a goal. And realizing, I think in my mind, what I needed to do, especially because I'm a creative, I love to have my hands in a lot of different things. I I told myself, I'm writing, this is my first book. It's not my only book. I'm going to write another book. And that somehow helped my brain decide to say, I'm writing a book about selling. And so I think just giving yourself permission to choose and decide, because if we have too many options, then all of a sudden all of that ambiguity doesn't make a book. The second piece of advice, I'm going to actually throw in a third
Excellent.
because I'm going to give you another one.
That's what this show is for.
Okay,
We're here
good.
to inspire all of you listening on, watching. Finka has been a great guest so far. She's about to provide 2 more great tidbits.
So the second one would be to hire someone to support you in that journey, especially if it is your first time writing a book. So a coach, a mentor, a guide, someone who's been through the process to help you navigate this new, especially if it's your first book, this new place you're venturing into. They will be there to help you with the peaks and the valleys that you go through, because you've never gone through this experience. And so you might give up before you even start. Where I had a coach, and my coach, shout out to Jennifer Loudon, awesome writing coach. She was there telling me, this is normal, this is natural, this is part of the process. And when that voice was there giving me permission to um, say yes to, oh, this is natural and this is normal, I didn't get stuck. Got stuck a little bit, but I knew how to pick myself up because she was there coaching me all along the way. And the third piece of advice is I would create some form of writing practice. And often what happens, and that writing practice might be every morning you get up and you write for 90 minutes. Every, you know, my writing practice was, I knew I needed to have 2,500 words. So I had set a word target, 25 words by Tuesday. And that I would finish that. I would spend Wednesday, Thursday mulling over my ideas. So I wasn't actually writing. I would actually, brainstorm, post-it note stuff, jot ideas down. And then from Friday to Tuesday, I would write. And so kind of giving yourself space to think about what you want to write, and then sitting down and actually making time to write. Often what happens is we struggle with this thing called writer's block or creative block, or what am I going to say? What am I going to write? The only time I had writer's block was when I didn't know what I was writing that morning when I showed up on the page. And so what I did every night was I'd write in the morning, and I would leave either space for, this is the to be continued. So I knew that next morning I would be continuing on that topic or on that next piece for that paragraph or that page. If I didn't yet have a to be continued and I was starting a new section, I'd spend the whole day and that night mulling over. And by the time I got to bed, I'd already have the topic of what I'd be writing the next morning.
I
So
love that.
writer's block is cured when you have the topic, the idea, the story, the metaphor, just something you're going to start with. And then the words start flowing from there.
Amazing advice all around. I had to take some notes while you were going. Have a plan. Don't waste time either. If you looked at any of my content, anything that I produce, I always talk about how my mornings are structured. There's a plan. I don't waste time with emails. I don't waste time with things. Have a plan. It will go a long way. I also enjoy here. New book, new topic. Don't try to merge everything together. My first book was my autobiography, a motivational piece. My second book was made in the pandemic to help you work remote. This one is designed for mental health. Have the confidence in yourself. And she mentioned being goal oriented for the next book. Keep the momentum going. Keep it going. Keep it going. Don't be afraid to ask for help. You heard her say that. If you saw any of my content as well, mentors, mentees, huge role in my life. Therapy, any way you want to look at an unbiased third party of coach. This is for some people. Give one a try. It will pay major dividends. And you publish your book in 2020. Did you always want to do just 2020? What led you to becoming a published author? Was it just because you had time in the pandemic, or was it something you always wanted to do?
It was something that I've always wanted to do. It just happened that it happened in 2020. I had this impulse. I knew that I loved expressing ideas. I loved coming up with new concepts. I loved making connections, and I loved sharing them with other people. I also knew deep inside that I was a writer. And it was actually an incubation period where I needed to admit, like, the idea of writing a book, I would only say it to myself. It was hard to actually articulate that out loud. If I had to tell a friend or my husband or a colleague that I'm going to write a book, there was this imposter syndrome going on for
Yep.
me, which was, who am I to write a book, and who are you write about this topic or whatever it was, in the moment that I was dreaming about writing about. And so I think part of the author's journey is priming ourselves to believe we are worthy to write a book, that we are worthy to say something valuable and that's going to be meaningful to other people. And so I needed to catch up to myself. So I had this, I love Napoleon Hill. He has this quote where he says, if you conceive it and believe it, you can achieve it. And so I conceived the idea of writing the book, but I still didn't buy into it or believe it yet. And so my process was I needed to catch up to myself, and that idea of who I knew I could become was this author and this writer. Once I did that, then I started telling it out loud again. And this was like 5 years in the making. And then it was, all right, I started writing it, but I was flailing, floundering ideas. I wrote, I think 50,000 or 60,000 words, my first draft, but there was nothing in it. There wasn't a book. It was just words. And that was good because that was my process and that was my start. It wasn't until in 2019, so I actually started writing my book in 2019, that I said, all right, this is it. This is my most important thing. This is the thing that I am. If I finish 2019 with a manuscript that in 2020 I can move through publishing stages, then I know it was a good year. And that was the one goal. And so that's, what it was. It wasn't, launch a new program, write a book, do this, do that. It was, I just needed to write this book. And that was the only thing that was on my agenda. And so I think, I believe if you're going to go out, write a book, you have to make space for it. And when I did and had that commitment, hired the coach and mentor to support me alongside it, everything naturally started falling into place. And then lo and behold, 2020 was the year of editing and publishing and going through all that process. And then in the fall of 2020, it was out in the world.
Goes back to one of the first things she said on this show, the power of her mindset, when she introduced her book. You saw the process. She manifested this into reality. Tell yourself it's going to happen, because it will happen if you believe in yourself. Can you please share with everyone how to find you, social media, how to find the book, the website?
Absolutely. So you can visit me at www.sellfromlove.com. And from there, you can find access to the book, the podcast, Sell From Love. Also, I have a cool Sell From Love test, which informs you on whether or not are you stuck in selling from fear, or are you on your way to selling from love, and gives you some recommendations of how to get out of fear-based mindset selling and into a love-based mindset so you can get more clients and have more confidence. You can also find me on Instagram at Finka _ Jerkovic, Jerkovic. And connect. I would love to hear from you.
Finka, thank you so much for coming on. There was a ton of value throughout. You emphasized loving yourself, mentors, that you can't be good at everything, a ton of advice here. And thank you so much for joining Writing with Authors.
Thank you, Vincent.